Okay, so today we are going to cover some of the news that broke out a few days ago on the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 lineup. We actually already made a video like this one specific to the Tab S8 and the Tab S8 Plus. Today we are going to focus on the upcoming Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra. We are going to are going to take a look at some of the pictures to see what it's going to be looking, well, some of the renders specifically, to see what it's going to look like. We are also going to talk about the notch and quite a few more things. Pretty exciting stuff. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, some of you may have come across some of these pictures already, some of these renders. I mean, I keep saying pictures or renders, but either way, it's kind of like pictures. Some of you may have come across those already. Of course, they've been leaked as of a few days ago. I meant to make a video about this and I just completely forgot. But anyway, so they're all coming from the well-known and legit leaker. And this is our first look at the all-new Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, and this is essentially as close as we are going to get to what Samsung will officially introduce about the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra during, the upcoming Samsung event. And looking at this thing here, Samsung did a fantastic job, assuming of course that it comes out to be exactly like this. You're going to see that it's pretty much the same as the Galaxy Tab S8, at least the renders that we had. It's, like I said before, like a huge version, a massive version of the regular Galaxy Tab S8. You will have these extremely thin bezels, and I'm talking super thin. And before we even get to that front part, if you look at the rear, at the back of the tablet, you will see the same thing I talked about last time here. That little stripe there, here you'll see that it's connected to the camera module, but on the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab S8, S8 Ultra, S8 Plus, that stripe will be interrupted right before the camera module. Right there, that still of course will be there to house the S Pen, which, by the way, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the most modern S Pen, of course, that one coming up is going to be the most modern S Pen that Samsung ever made. So I'm very much looking forward to, some of the features that they will include on that thing. But anyway, so you have that same camera module on the back there. It's going to be that same 13 megapixel wide and the 5 megapixel ultra wide on the back. Of course, on the front now, you will have two cameras. Now, that's going to lead us to talk about the notch, right? So you're going to have these super, and I mean extremely thin bezels. You will have two cameras. Now you have a ultra wide, a 5 megapixel ultra wide sensor and an 8 megapixel, the regular 8 megapixel that they have for selfie. And I believe the reason for the notch is the fact that the bezels are just so thin. Added to that, the overall tablet itself is also super thin. Thinner than this guy. This tablet is really thin, and it's going to be thinner than this one right here, despite being a much larger tablet. It's going to be a massive 14.6 inches tablet. Of course, we are expecting a QHD Plus just for that display. I mentioned this in my last video. The Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra might come out in it's going to be kind of a limited edition. The good thing that came out that we know is legit is just these renders. So now we know what they are going to look like. I mean, things that are being, things that are leaked by this guy, by McFly here, they usually are just like on point. If you look at just his track record, it's been very consistent. So I'm happy that we have something that's pretty legit that we could kind of hang on. Physical features, we're expecting them to be essentially the same, right? So we'll still have the quad speaker setup there, probably, definitely going to be tuned by AKG. Looking at the renders, I didn't see any with these 3 pins that will snap, on the keyboard. My understanding is that Samsung is working on a better keyboard, and if you have been watching the channel for a while, then you know that I personally have been complaining about the keyboard on the Tab S7 and the Tab S7 Plus, not because it's just so terrible, but just because it's not backlit and it's super flimsy. You cannot put it like on your lap and just, type on it. You have to put it on the flat desk, on the flat surface in order for it to stay steady. So my hope is that they do something about that and they also work on the price, But anyway, beyond that, I'm assuming you're going to have the same, power button volume rocker there. I do not anticipate that we will have a fingerprint sensor because it's going to be too crazy thin, but who knows? They may be able to put that there. My take is that they will include an optical, fingerprint sensor, or at most, ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, which would be cool. I mean, either one. I generally prefer physical fingerprint sensor because they're faster and secure and more secure. But whatever they add to it, I'm sure there's going to be some type of biometrics, but whatever they add, I'll be fine with it. I don't think we will have a a headphone jack rather. We won't have a headphone jack. We will have a micro SD card slot for it, and we are also going to have a USB Type-C for it. The antenna placement is going to be the same, just like it is the case on the Tab S7 Plus that you have here. And the highest config for those who are looking for just raw power, right? Again, you got to keep in mind that it's not going to be a tablet that's made just for the average consumer, right? It's going to be made for, I see artists, right? And people looking for just that raw power, people who do a lot of things that are GPU related. I see a lot of those people going for this larger model. But anyway, so the highest config you'll be able to get with that. So the most powerful is going to be 12 gigs of RAM with 512 gigs of internal storage. Of course, expandable via micro SD card. Like I mentioned earlier, you would have that micro SD card up to, I believe, 1 terabyte. We'll see. And the display, of course, is going to be an OLED or Super AMOLED, like Samsung likes to call it, or Samsung makes them. They calibrate them to be Super AMOLED displays. Beautiful, of course. Blacks are going to be super black, just like we see here already on the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus here. And I mentioned artists, you will have a beautiful screen. I mean, you already have a beautiful display on the Tab S7 Plus here. You would only imagine what it would be like on the 14.6 inches as opposed to this 12.9 or 12.4 that we have here. So you would have a Super AMOLED display, high refresh rate, of course, 120 hertz refresh rate on here. It's going to be beautiful. I so very much am looking forward to that. And talking display, of course, let's go back to that notch. Now, when it comes down to the notch, if you hate the notch on the iPhone, you're probably gonna hate that, right? I personally won't mind, in my phone rotation, I always include an iPhone. I always carry an iPhone and also an Android. So I'm already used to the notch coming from, I've owned pretty much every iPhone, I think. And right now I have the 13 Pro Max that I have there, and it has a notch, a smaller notch compared to that of last year and the previous years, but still a notch. So I don't think it's going to bother me. But what do you think? What is your take when it comes down to the notch? I've, come across quite a few comments really hating the notch. And on Twitter, tons of people are really going after the notch, right? So what is your take on this notch? Again, in my personal opinion, I won't mind it, because it's one of those things that you get used to it so quickly. It might bother you for the first few minutes, especially if you're not used to it. It might bother you for a few minutes, and then after that you just get used to it and you just forget about it, especially on something that large. But anyway, that's just my take. Let me know what your take is on this upcoming tablet. Things that you're excited to see on this tablet. Don't forget to like the video, of course. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. I'm not sure if I've said that already. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, share. I'm going to catch you in the comment section like I always do. I'm also going to catch you in the next video, and as always, up until that next video, of course, stay safe out there.